How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia, and today I want to discuss the infield for the Yankees. What should it look like when Rizzo returns from the IL? DJ LeMahieu's getting a couple days off. He probably will play today with that toe injury, which has significantly impacted his production. But, there has to be a sequence that's better than what we've been using, right? You don't pull up Oswald Peraza not to play him. It's absolutely egregious that we are sitting in a situation where, you disrupt his flow, you disrupt his development at the AAA level, you bring him up, and you don't really even give him the consistent at-bats. Having at-bats one day and then some more 3 days later isn't exactly how you're supposed to get accustomed to the MLB if you're a young player. You need to be getting every day at-bats, seeing the ball better. Eventually, he's going to make an impact, and I think that right now, the Yankees need to be giving him reps at this point in time because the offense is struggling so much. Why not give him opportunities? And I think the infield could use a little bit of fresh blood. And I have an idea of what I think the infield should look like the rest of the way, or at least for a significant portion of it. And that includes benching Josh Donaldson because I do not trust him. He is a net negative to this team. He puts himself in very weird positions where he's showboating a home run that doesn't even leave, basically gets thrown out at second base a couple days ago. He's just kind of been an asshole lately to other players, and he just kind of makes our team look bad at times. I'm not really a fan of his. I think that, he doesn't really represent the style of game that we try to play here and his disciplined execution. He has charisma, but the charisma ends up shooting ourselves in the foot at times as we saw him getting thrown out at second base on that pimped home run that didn't leave the park. And then the errors at third base lately have started to mount. And I think that right now, maybe it's the best decision. We don't really have many options, so it's hard to bench him. But I will say, I think maybe take him out of the defensive lineup, and maybe the Yankees can use a different sequence here. And I have an idea of what I'd like that to be. Once Rizzo returns from injury, he was placed on the 10-day IL with headache stemming from that epidural he received for his lower back over the weekend. So interesting situation. They just kind of want him to rest for a couple of days and make sure he's ready to go for the rest of the way. But Ryan, before we dive into this infield here sequence, definitely an interesting lineup I have in mind. I want to see what your thoughts are about it. How you do today, my friend?
I'm all right. We got some double video barrel action here. Like the Yankees have a double barrel, double header today. So kind of matching the vibes there. But the infield's kind of interesting because you have two infielders who are really struggling in Donaldson and Glaber, and two guys who coming into the season you were looking to get some production out of them. And Glaber got off to a really good start first half of the season. I would never have imagined, in the middle of July that we'd be having this conversation. I thought the conversation we'd be having, if I have any anger or not anger, but displeasure with Glaber, it would be that he wasn't an all-star, right? That was the only thing I could possibly complain about, that he, for some reason, wasn't selected for the all-star team. And now we're talking about, hey, is he going to start in the playoffs? I never imagined we get to this point. And same thing with DJ, right? DJ struggled a lot lately. Now, not to the extent that Glaber and Donaldson have, and his struggles are a little more explainable. But the Yankees the infield's bad, right? That's something that general manager Brian Cashman can address in the offseason, but we're not in the offseason. We have to work with what we have right now. And I think you nailed it on the head. Peraza cannot be at the major league level if he's not playing every single day. That's horrible mismanagement. That's horrible, development of prospects. If you want to have a guy not getting consistent at bats at the age of 22, what are we doing, right? Let him at least get his consistent at bats at AAA. If you're going to just, not, what's the point, right? If Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was never going to lose his starting job, if Josh Johnson was going to start every day, if Glaber was going to start every day, why? It doesn't make any sense. Why start his service clock? Why bring him up? Why ruin his development? Why do any of those things? This is an example of the Yankees, not really having the greatest of game plans with their their prospects. But Oswald Peraza should be at shortstop. Whether you want to put Cabrera at second, I think DJ should be playing third because I don't want Donaldson starting either. I think we can both agree there. Second base is kind of a rotating door here. Could you go with IKF? Could you go with Torres? Maybe you put DJ at second and Donaldson at third, depending if Donaldson heats up or not. But, two of those three guys, in reference to IKF, Glaber, and Donaldson, have no business starting. One of those guys has to turn it on. IKF hit a home run yesterday, but that brought up his OPS to, I believe, 640. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to cut it yet. You gotta keep hitting for me before I can, hand you that starting job. Donaldson, as you mentioned, he's just dumb. He makes horrific decisions. He's just stupid. I can't, he frustrates me. He's an idiot. And then Glaber's the one where you're just still holding out hope that maybe that first half comes back. But it feels like it's just another lost season for him, his third lost season in a row. At this point, you kind of feel like you have to cut bait there. But man, I think Rizzo's going to be playing first base. I think you'd have to go Cabrera at second if you're not playing him in left. I mean, that's another thing. The outfield, right? Is Benintendi going to come back? Because if Benintendi does come back, then I can say, yeah, put Cabrera at second, Peraza at short, DJ at third and Rizzo at first. But another thing too is, Cabrera and Peraza, they have to hit first, right? And I'm not saying that they're like busts or anything, but you want to see if they can hit before you start, penciling them in, anyone in for a roster spot. But every day I need to see Peraza at least playing at September, just so I can see what we have, right? Because I don't know what we have at Peraza right now. Right? I think I know what we have like for the next 3 to 4 years. I think I know we have a good defensive shortstop with league average offense. But if I have that right now, a league average offensive shortstop with good defense and good base running value is like, that's like the second best infielder on the team. Like, that's how decimated this infield is right now. For context, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, according to Fangraphs, has a 0.0 BSR. He is not even a positive base runner right now. So, the Yankees could maybe get better base running wise. The Yankees could maybe get better defensively, better offensively, right? You got to see what you have. I think we both agree Rizzo's a penciled in there. Even if he struggles, you just don't have another option. And you'll bet on him playing well. Same thing with DJ. You'll bet on him just figuring it out. And second base, it's an open job, right? Hey, Torres, if you want to play well, you'll play second. Cabrera, if you hit well, you'll play second. IKF, if you hit well, you'll play second. That's how it should be. Second base should be that open job. Donaldson could fight for third base and move LeMahieu back to second base, but it should be 3 to 4 guys fighting for that last spot, because I think you can arrange the outfield to put Bader maybe in left, Judge in center, and Carpenter in right. The outfield there's enough guys, there are enough bodies there are enough competitive baseball players there for me to be fine throwing those three guys out there and saying, figure it out defensively, because you guys will hit better than whatever we have currently. But for the infield, if I see Donaldson, Glaber, and IKF starting, 2 of those 3 guys are starting every single day, that's a problem, because that should not be happening, especially when Bader gets back. Should not be happening. No reason it should happen, right? If you want to tell me, well, we don't have enough outfielders, go play Florial for a little bit. I don't care. We need to see what we have with the infield, right? And what we have with the infield is not good enough right now, and it has to change because it's a disaster.
Well, we clearly know that Ryan had a lot of thoughts on this infield and the disastrous nature of it. But I'll tell you what, this is the I guess the equation that I have for the infield right now. This is when Rizzo comes back. This is what I'd like to see. I like to see Rizzo at first base. You can't replace him. There's no one else playing first base with Rizzo when he's healthy. 30 homers this year. Good defensive player. He is your guy. Second base has to be DJ LeMahieu, in my opinion. That's his best position. The toe injury definitely is a bit concerning, but I think giving him a couple days off would do him well. I don't think it's going to go away. I think he's going to have to deal with it the rest of the year. But at the same time, like, you can't leave DJ LeMahieu out of the equation. He has to be in it. And at second base is where he will make his most impact, especially because it's closer to first base. Doesn't have to put as much pressure on that toe. If he was on the hot corner, throwing across the diamond, whatever it might be. So shortstop, though, that's where things get interesting for me. I don't think that, and really it's relevant to third base as well, because everyone always brings up IKF's Gold Glove. He didn't get a Gold Glove at shortstop. He got it at third base. And I think this is a situation where I think you shift him over to third base. I know that Aaron Boone and the Yankees don't want to do that because they think he's playing just substantially great shortstop play. We've seen him botch routine balls routinely over the past week or so. And I'd like to see him play a hot corner. I'd like to see him get reps there over Josh Donaldson, because honestly, like you said, Josh Donaldson just frustrates me. He's been kind of erroneous lately. He has not been very efficient defensively. He had a couple bad throws, 2 back-to-back errors actually a couple days ago, which was not sufficient for a team that needs to be playing good baseball defensively and not giving up runs because of poor throws and whatnot. If not, this is definitely an interesting situation. But I think IKF shifting over to the hot corner makes sense to me, and I think Oswald Peraza playing shortstop makes sense to me. He's a good defender. He needs more reps. Play the young guys. You have no choice. Gleyber Torres can DH for all I care. If Stanton needs a couple more days off, because he obviously that foot is bothering him the other day, if he needs a couple days off, just DH Gleyber or DH Josh Donaldson. I don't really care. But I just don't think either of them should be in the defensive lineup right now, because I just don't trust either of them. And Glaber's been so bad offensively. He's essentially an automatic out. His numbers with runners in scoring position are some of the worst I've ever seen. Like, he's hitting like 190 with like a 23% on base rate. It's absolutely abysmal. So, what are your thoughts on Peraza playing shortstop and IKF going to the hot corner? I know in a perfect world, IKF might not be playing at all, and we'd have a better option there. But, in the situation that we're in, I think Peraza getting those reps might be for the best.
Yeah, Peraza has to play short, right? And I think we agree there. IKF, putting him at third base, you're right. He won a Gold Glove there, right? So, I guess my only concern with IKF is like, how much will he hit, right? And can Donaldson pick it up defensively, right? Because the issue is just that these guys, like they're flawed in so many, like they've struggled with the bat so long that you're like, I mean, you're just playing the best defensive option at this point because they all kind of suck at the plate. But if I guess Donaldson has the better upside offensively. Like if anyone is gonna have a 3-week stretch where they hit like 7 home runs, and have like a 380 on base, it'll probably be Donaldson, not IKF, right? Which is I guess the Yankees mentality or their thought process there. But if they're so averse to moving Donaldson off third base, they have to put Peraza at shortstop. I don't think that should affect one or the other. And you make a great point with second base. The stress DJ is going to be put on DJ. Can you really reasonably put him at third base all the time? I think that's a great point. Can you really reasonably do it with that injury? Maybe you have to sacrifice a little bit and have him at second. You could put Cabrera at third. Cabrera has played third base, but again, it depends on how much Cabrera hits, right? If Cabrera hits and he starts getting on a groove, you can't keep him off the infield, and that solves a big problem. And the same thing with Peraza. So I hate to put a lot of pressure on these rookies because they should not be expected to save the team, but boy, they could be a huge help if those two start hitting, because even if they're just league average hitters, that's better than what you have right now. So you'll take it. But there's a lot of factors here. I think it's kind of like a tryout almost, like spring training almost, except instead of
Sad.
Instead of sit back and like, hey, let's watch this double-A pitcher and we'll finally get some StatCast data on them. It's hey, if we lose today, we might lose the division. So but seriously, in all seriousness, it is kind of a tryout, right? It's open reign. Whoever plays the best down the stretch, whoever's the hot hand, is hopefully, hands to God, who Aaron Boone will play in the playoffs. Though I imagine if Peraza's the hot hand, he may not play. Peraza could hit, 40 home runs in the month of September. He's probably not playing. But hopefully Aaron Boone's got the thought process of, and I'd imagine he does. He's been in baseball forever. That you play the hot hand, and hopefully that guides you to October, and you put these August struggles behind. But today's a big test because everyone's going to be playing. It's a doubleheader. We'll get to see a lot of different guys at different places. Praying get to see Peraza at shortstop again. We have to see Peraza at shortstop at least once today, please. And we'll get to answer a couple of questions, week by week. We're pretty sure that we're going to keep having these discussions. This is basically the big discussion in October for the Yankees. And we'll keep updating and kind of revisiting this topic.
Yeah, we have to, because ultimately, it's going to be kind of a Russian roulette of sorts at every position aside from even first base. I mean, we just pulled up Ronald Guzman to play, and the guy hasn't played a game in the MLB all year and barely played last season for Texas. So we're definitely staring down the barrel of an early playoff exit if we keep having to make decisions like this. We need to get healthy. I don't know what that's going to take. I don't know what that looks like, but the Yankees got to get healthy, and they got to do it soon. Otherwise, we might lose this league in the AL East, guys. But I'm holding out hope, holding out optimism as always. Hopefully these young guys can step up. Cabrera, obviously defensively, has 7 defensive runs saved above average already. Absolute monster in the outfield, and has done some good stuff in the infield as well. Peraza just needs more time. He needs more reps. Don't stunt his development. Give him the opportunity. Give him the chance to showcase what he's got. Stop disrupting his flow. Stop playing him one day and not the next. He needs the at-bats. If you don't call up guys like this to just not play them, it doesn't make any sense. If you were going to do this, you should bring up a veteran guy who's going to offer you something that they have. In Peraza, we just don't know what he's got yet. He needs time. Like, he struggled the first couple of weeks at AAA this year. Maybe he can adjust and start hitting at the MLB level as well. He just needs the consistent at bats, and right now the Yankees can afford to give him them because we're just suffering through so many injuries. But guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Would love to hear your projected or what infield you'd like to see the rest of the way leading up to the playoffs. Who you think deserves reps? Definitely an interesting conversation, but one that there's not really a perfect answer, but we can have our preferences. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.